Hello, listeners. My name is Maya, and I hope you're having an amazing day so far. I strongly advise you to get your popcorn ready because we have an exciting topic to discuss today. And for that, I am joined by my dear friend and sister, Grace.
Hi, guys.
So, Grace, we are both proud Hollywood film and Netflix fanatics, aren't we?
Yes, definitely, for sure.
We obsessively watch series, we tag along for what is trendy, we rewatch our all-time favorite Hollywood movies, so really we consume movies just like most people.
Yes, and I've noticed the number of female leads in movies has gone significantly higher over time.
Agreed, women are frequently being shown as the star of the show and leading the role of a successful character who is powerful as a result of her courage, cleverness, and strength. However, today we are going to be discussing and highlighting some problematic areas that you might have missed, that I know I have missed in the past, watching specific movies. Even though the women are being shown as independent and strong, many Hollywood movies have sexist and misogynistic aspects to them.
Oh, yes, completely. So today we're going to be more critical of the messages we see while consuming those movies. So let's get started.
Okay, so growing up, The Devil Wears Prada was one of my favorite comfort movies. Is it amazing? Yes. Is it absolutely hooking? For sure. Haven't we all watched it like a million times? Yes. But does it necessarily show women empowerment or a feminist narrative? I'm not so sure, and like most people, I've very ever thought about this whenever I was watching it. It's like they get you so distracted by everything going on in the movie, the plot, the clothes, the girl, the guy, that you get to enjoy it so much that you never stop to think about the ways it might be problematic, and I feel like we're all guilty of that.
Yeah, so everything you said makes me think of my favorite comfort movie. I was obsessed with She's the Man. I think we were all obsessed with it. I know the movie line by line. So basically, She's the Man basically revolves around a teenager named Viola Hastings who enters her brother's school and attends in place of her brother and pretends to be him in order to play on the boys' soccer team. So at first, this whole movie seems to emit a strong sense of feminism by showcasing the idea that women are as strong and capable as men in the field of sports, since Viola is, in the end, beats the boys' soccer team and fully humiliates them. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, there are strangely many misogynistic ideas within the movie, which is actually quite shocking. So growing up, I felt empowered while watching She's the Man, but now that I'm older and I look back at it, there are many gender stereotypes being reinforced in this movie. So this can be seen in one of the very first scenes in the movie while the coach announces that not enough girls have signed up for the soccer team. So the girls' soccer team gets cut out of the school. So this again reinforces the stereotype that women generally are not as athletic as men and are not into sports as much as men. So something that both The Devil Wears Prada, which you mentioned earlier, and She's the Man share in that the main female characters in the movie, lives are centered around and revolve around the idea of love. So in the end, Viola gets into a relationship with Duke, just like Andrea gets into a relationship with Nate. So this is just a recurring idea that women always need to have a man in their life in order to truly be happy and fulfilled.
Yes, exactly. Like, I swear, The Devil Wears Prada hides it exceptionally well. You watch and you're like, it's just perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. And so it deceives you with its supposed feminist front. But in reality, it's not. And how does it do that? You basically said it. You have a movie that has two women in its center, so it's in your face. You have a woman protagonist. Okay, her name is Andrea Sachs. It's a naive woman who surprisingly lands a job at one of the most prestigious magazines of fashion, to work as an assistant for the legend, the icon, who is Miranda Priestley. At the beginning of the movie, Andrea is depicted as a feminist, yet is still painted stereotypically as the easily irritated, humorless, tomboyish, unfeminine feminist. So from the start, you have an overgeneralization of what a feminist should look like, and they oppose that figure to everything that has to do with fashion and beauty. So we're still characterizing feminists as this uptight group of women who hate makeup, fashion, and all of that, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And what strikes me the most is that even Andrea, this supposed feminist, is seen repeatedly bargaining her ideas for the sake of working for the magazine or for the sake of her toxic boyfriend as well. And they're both extremely bad, or equally bad even. And if I want to point out the way in which this movie really engages with sexist ideas, there are endless examples. One of the examples is the fact that a successful women are threatening to men. It's made clear that when Andrea works for Andrea's works become more demanding and more time consuming, her boyfriend Nate gets mad about it and justifies his own insecurities and toxicities by making it seem like it's Andy's fault, who's becoming more like those runway girls. And when you look at that statement on its own, there's a lot of undertones of misogyny in that statement. And what is even worse than him gaslighting her is the fact that she ends up quitting her job in order to go back to him and reconcile with him, which honestly pissed me off a lot. And I think a lot of viewers understand that viewers start to understand that Nate may be right, and that it's best to tailor her own femininity towards men's taste and men's approval.
Oh my god, I hate when that happens, because this is so typical of Hollywood movies, when the girl ends up going back to the guy and it's supposed to be the happiest and best thing ever for her, that she's reunited with her man. Like, really, most of the production choices and strategies used in the movie are all commercially organized to attract audience for profit, including the target audience and what viewers would like to see, which I always feel like goes this way. Like, so it's the ugly girl who has a makeover, becomes totally attractive and sexy, and whatever, obviously for the male gaze. But with that change in appearance, she starts losing her morals, values, all of that, and then at the end, all is good when she goes back to her true self, and her boyfriend, who warned her and scolded her, was right all along. No, but like, seriously, I feel like behind the seemingly harmless movie, it is actually reinforcing unequal gender relationships. I even felt that the movie depicted harsh realities of women at work. I realized how much women like Andrea were expected to perform emotional labor at work, while simultaneously dedicating her energy, time, and creativity to this highly competitive field. Women dominated the fashion field, a creative field, as I came to understand now and see, is actually a field that is by nature unstable and with very little certainty of reward. Like you see it in the movie when Andrea is hustling for not even a nod of validation from her boss. Whereas you see men remaining in their comfortable positions all the time. It really bugged me to see how the fashion industry demands of women to have these soft skills that have nothing to do with fashion, such as being adaptable, flexible, desirable, presentable, and consumable even. So this movie actually, I feel like, helps justify the harsh realities of women at work and the actions of those in power by distorting reality in a playful light, so that we are more apt to accept these conditions without question when watching. Also, The Devil Wears Prada showcases gender stereotypes. Like, for example, you can't be into fashion and beauty and be smart. So I felt that not only is The Devil Wears Prada reinforcing the notion the gender stereotypes, but is also normalizing the commodification of women as commercial and desirable objects. You can see the male gaze inherently widely present throughout the movie.
Yeah, you're completely right. I remember watching the movie and thinking, like, is this normal? Are these women human? Is this what I really need to do in order to be successful? But what is really funny is that the movie depicts this inability for women to balance their work and personal life, portraying them as bad partners. We see it with Andrea and Nate, and also with Miranda, whose husband wants a divorce. I feel like these hardworking women are expected to go beyond their typical duties, so they have to navigate domestic labor, emotional labor, mothering, relationship, and take on all these kinds of tasks, while still being shamed for being ambitious and successful in these cases. And it also reinforces the idea that women cannot be both of these things or all of these things. They have to be either this or that. They can't be a mother and also a successful woman.
Exactly. This is to say that honestly, we shouldn't underestimate how much movies are powerful mechanisms and how they are used to shape discourse around womanhood, around women's work, what behaviors should be encouraged and which ones should be dismissed. Like, I don't know if you remember, but you know how the movie depicts sisterhood as competition? In the movie, The Devil Wears Prada, in the office, Andrea had no female friends. None. Emily, her co-worker, constantly tried to bring her down, and so they did not get along. We also see this pattern in Hollywood movies in which women are catty and jealous and envious and always pitted against each other. I hate it. Like, no, women can support other women, and women can have best friends at work. So yeah, what I really want our listeners to know is that yes, The Devil Wears Prada definitely has its feminist moments, but when we look at their underlying workings, we see that it's actually counterintuitive to the true aims of feminism and women empowerment. It is not a feminist movie. It's almost like it uses its woman-centric storyline and its supposed woman empowerment front to insidiously make the claim that we've already achieved gender equality. And so the narrative that this often produces are ones that are centered around a very heteronormative white femininity, and again, very patriarchal ideas are being advanced.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like, besides The Devil Wears Prada, there are many movies now that are trying to portray themselves a bit more progressive and trying to show different types of women as lead characters, trying to be a bit more inclusive and diverse. However, a lot of the time, these representations are flawed and very much problematic. For example, the distorted images circulating the media of Muslim women being victimized and oppressed and submissive, and that they need to be liberated in some way and saved from the oppressed brown Arab woman is quite problematic as well.
Oh my god, yes. And one example that immediately comes to my mind is Elite. I know you've watched this, Grace, so I'm just going to mention it really quickly. There's a Spanish TV show on Netflix. It's called Elite. It's very popular and consumed all over the world by non-Spanish speakers too. And so in Elite, you have this working class Muslim teenage girl, Nadia, who is new to this private school. She also happens to wear the hijab. They show you how Nadia eventually removes her headscarf and drinks alcohol to catch the attention of a popular, handsome, white, rich male student. What raises my concern is the idea that in order for Muslim women to be empowered, they have to remove their veil, pretentiously implying that the veil was a symbol of oppression that needed to be taken off in the first place. This was obviously not the case. Veiling itself must never be confused with or made to stand for lack of agency. And in this case, with Elite, it comes off like Nadia needed to be saved from her barbaric heritage. Why couldn't Nadia be more than just the girl with the hijab, There are reoccurring patterns of Muslim characters being built on faith identity and not personal identity. I hate that there are so many common sense conceptions about the meaning of the veil and the intention behind wearing it in this movie, because like what is common sense and natural to one might be problematic to another. So again, there's Muslim women are being portrayed as oppressed and needing the West to be liberated.
Yeah, this narrative of the West saving the foreign cultures from what they deem were barbaric and unprogressive traditions and values is old, it's offensive, it's condescending, and most importantly, fails to represent the authentic Muslim woman experience within bringing experience, and it also brings in a lot of stereotypes to the screen. This is clearly an anti-feminist and not in line with women empowerment, as it brings other women down and imposes on them what certain actions they have to do in order to be liberated. This also is quite problematic because it's feminism, intersecting with Orientalism. So it's a lot of different layers of what feminist looks like, but it's clearly not.
Exactly. So there you have it. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Hollywood and Netflix films and revealing the ways in which these movies have many hidden and concealed anti-feminist and problematic ideas within them. So yeah, keep watching and enjoying these movies, but maybe now you can choose to make more critical observations rather than just mindlessly taking in ideological messages. We really thank you for listening to the podcasts with your host Grace and Maya Saleh. That is all for today's episode. See you next time.
Bye guys. Have a good one.